Hello and welcome to the Global Fashion Workshop channel. I remind you that we release a new video 3 times a week. We've already passed 3 lessons, a skirt in a trapeze style and a jacket with raglan sleeves. We sew it for Olya. Still, of course, there was no review of the finished product. But today, I have such an idea. Now the suit is being sewn, and our jacket is being sewn in the atelier, and I wanted to go out with a camera to the studio and demonstrate to you some of the operations, how this jacket assembly is going. I really hope that this will be interesting to you. I hope that this category will be progressively entering our channel. Working moments. Let's regard some of the working moments today. So let's enter the atelier and have a look at how everything is attached and what the procedure is of its assembly. I would like you so much to comment on this. So I'm in the atelier. Czeslava makes this gorgeous jacket that we modeled for you. In addition, I would like to demonstrate to you something from the procedure of its assembly. Pay attention to the table. The same way that we were basting, we should stitch it. It means that the side plackets and the sleeves are to be stitched at the beginning. Then, when everything will be processed, we will proceed to stitching the shoulder plackets, entering the sleeve center. You can see it, yes? This is the last seam to be stitched because at first we should attach everything. And to process the seam, I'll show you now. Now, we'll do the stitching and attach it to the lining, and the lining is also equipped with a placket. Have a look at how such a seam is to be processed properly. The placket is made of a fairly dense coat fabric and is attached to the product. You can see the seam. The seam is ironed towards the placket. The seam's internal part is removed. You can see that everything's been cut off. Here it is. We've done it so that when we're stitching, this little part will make out this bulge in the style line. Meanwhile, it helps us to avoid heavy hardness during the process of stitching. You can see it, yes? Everything is assembled this manner. We're going to stitch this placket now and we'll demonstrate to you the procedure of further assembly. The pockets are made here. You should sew in a little piece of fabric to the dart edge. It avoids the emerging of emptiness on the top of the dart after turning the product. The offset welt has been made also very carefully. It is not a cut-in offset welt. It is the put-on one. However, that's what we had planned. It's been basted here. Such a magnificent pocket. Exactly the same stitch will run across the whole placket. I'd like to remind you about the work order. Each seam we've made is to be stitched at once. That is, after we have sewn the center of the back, we have it immediately stitched. Having made seams of the raglan, we should have it stitched at once. Here are the raglan lines. They've also been stitched along the raglan button band. We have stitched everything, as well as the inseam and the side seam. Everything's been stitched. As the operation progresses, after making the next seam, we immediately stitch it and move on. We're stitching this placket now. By the way, the stitch will be long. Have a look at how it runs, along the placket to the side seam, further along the bottom of the back to the side seam. Along the second placket, it will run to the top. Be attentive. We took a thread for finishing stitches. This thread is to be of a higher density. It's denser than the ordinary thread for all inseams. Therefore, it's better not to make a trimming stitch and trim nothing at the beginning and at the end of a stitch. That's because almost no sewing machines process such finishing stitches properly. Therefore, Czeslava did not fix it at the beginning, but then we will tie these strings. The stitch length is 3.5 millimeters. However, you will adjust your stitch length yourself. I think that the category Working Moments will surely be included in our videos. Sometimes you'll have a chance to see some of our working moments. We count the quantity of people who want such a suit, grounding upon the number of views. Therefore, we'll demonstrate to you some episodes of assembly and stitching, etc. No doubt, in such a short video, we cannot demonstrate the assembly process from beginning to end. However, having watched our video, you will at least have some idea of how it's to be done. Pay attention to how delicately you need to iron natural fabrics. Do not press too heavy with an iron. You need to be very careful. Therefore, we've demonstrated to you how we've made the seam on the placket, trimmed the excesses, stitched it, how delicate it is, and how carefully we've ironed it. And our placket is ready. In fact, the whole jacket is assembled except the shoulder running to the sleeve center, but we're not going to regard it today. There's the lining in front of us. It was assembled in exactly the same condition, as the jacket itself. Absolutely everything is assembled except the shoulders, which run to the sleeve center. Now I'll show you how it all looks. Our lining looks exactly the same as the jacket itself. Now we're folding the whole placket face to face. We begin to pin from this point. Here's the first pin. Side seam to the side seam further. Cut off the corners here. Czeslava will be cutting off the corners. The side seam to the side seam here. The side seam to the side seam from the second side in the same way. Now we're going to start splitting it all in a circle. Such a complicated thing. Many people do not understand the order of the body assembly. Therefore, we'll demonstrate to you a little. And now, when we've pinned the beginning from the second, the side seam with the side seam here, now we'll pin on each side independently. This area should be pinned first, and then we proceed to the center of the back, the second side. Czeslava will be pinning now. And we'll cut off these corners and demonstrate them on the video. Pay attention. Here we have the waistband with the waistband. The same as here. Just imagine, unless we cut off these corners after turning out, there will emerge a very hard corner. It's just not possible. Therefore, we're cutting them off carefully and start spinning in a circle. And after we've done everything, we'll be stitching. We've pinned the plackets face to face. The one side is the jacket passing to the placket. On the other side, there's the lining ending by the placket. Czeslava will be stitching the whole placket from beginning to end. The seam width is 7 millimeters. Stitching. Of course, we won't show you the whole jacket. Just here is some assembly order to show you where I thought there might be difficulties for you. I've forgotten to separately demonstrate to you the height of the waistband and how it looks. Therefore, now Czeslava will stitch it and I will show you. That's the way that we'll reach the end. Now, we should make a basting along the whole placket from the right side. In order to make this process easier, Czeslava slightly irons out the seam joining the plackets. Do not iron them out exhaustively. The slight ironing will make the basting process easier. Today, you'll see in real space how things are created. Here's our placket. Proceeding to the basting now. The ironed seam, we're going to reduce the part of the seam, cutting it off with the scissors. Let's show you how we'll do it. We're doing it to avoid the emerging of a very rough seam. It's clearly visible when you place the both cuts to the same level. That's the way. You see? We reduce one of the cuts along the whole cut. That is, so we make this whole fold thinner. It'll not be too rough while basting. While Czeslawa is basting, we'll take a little look here. Here's the neckline of the back. We don't have this placket at the back. You see, we lack this placket on the front side. But have a look. Here's the waistband. The lining is attached to the waistband and exactly matches the shape of the clothes. See how accurate everything is? That's what it is to assemble a jacket. How much work it is just to make a seam. First, you need to duplicate the waistband, then align the left and the right. Check the left and the right trim. Connect the waistband with the top trim, connect the lining with the inner waistband, make a seam, iron it out, reduce the cuts, baste, then stitch. You can imagine how much work there is with this one edge of the product. That's the way that Czeslawa will be basting everything to the end. After we baste, only then we will attach the shoulder sleeves that go to the center of the sleeve, and then we'll already work with the bottom of the sleeve. There will be cuts and cuffs. Therefore, you have just to wait for the review of the finished product. Something interesting is always happening in our studio, and I think it was interesting for you to take a little look at how everything's happening there. I'm waiting for your comments. If you like our new heading, Working Moments, we'll constantly shoot our working moments. That's the time to say goodbye to you. Be diverse, unlike yourself from day to day. Put likes, write comments, and share our videos on the social media. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet subscribed. Good luck. I was with you, Irina Paukšte, and our whole big team.